Oh my god! There's no way VShojo has failed and I've mismanaged the company into the situation you're all witnessing. Is this from the CEO? It's from Gunrun! So today I'm sharing the difficult news that VShojo is shutting down, and I take full responsibility for the decisions that led us to this point. I've been doing everything I can to fundraise and right the ship these past few months, but despite my efforts, we are in a worse position, and those that I care about are now paying the price. Over the past few years, we raised around 11 million to pursue a bold talent-first approach in VTubing, prioritizing creators and community over short-term profits to achieve long-term sustainability. Impossible concept, by the way. Our funding went directly to our creators through generous splits, debut investments, infrastructures, concerts, events, and staffing, all designed to support them. We also wanted talent to own their IP, which we knew was a unique creator-first approach for an agency. However, despite all of our efforts, the business failed to generate the revenue we needed to sustain such model, and eventually we ran out of money. Oh my lord. Additionally, I acknowledge that some of the money spent by the company was raised in connection with talent activity, which I later learned was intended for a charitable initiative. By the way, this shows how out of touch the CEO itself was with the rest of the people in the company. He had no idea that the money that they ended up touching was to a charity. To a charity of all things. It should have been the bare fucking minimum to at least put that in a vault and not touch that, and instead just have the company go down. But instead they completely forgot about the fact that they have a person that has a genuine really bad medical issue and that was raising funds for possibility of research and also to alleviate the problems of people that have the same exact condition. But instead they just saw money and went like, you know what, let's use it. Completely forgetting about the fact that any of this happened. Which, by the way, her subathon was the biggest event that ever happened in VTubing last year. By far. I mean that the Vtuber Awards existed, but at the same time she broke the sub record. And was the biggest and most subscribed to Twitch streamer. Twitch, not VTuber. Twitch. Shows how out of touch he was. At the time, we were working hard to raise additional investment capital to cover our costs, and I firmly believed, based on the information available to us, that we would be able to do so and cover all expenses. We were unsuccessful in our fundraising efforts. I made the decision to pursue funding, and I own its consequences. I am deeply sorry to all the talents, staff, friends, and community members who believed in our brand. You did not deserve this. Justin Gunrun. Insane. How can't he of all people know where the 500k came from? Oh, I'm sure he knew. Let's be honest, you either have to be insanely out of touch or just lying to not admit that you knew where the money was from. And I'll be honest, if he didn't know where the money came from, if he didn't know where the 500k was from, then I'll be honest, that's even worse. I believe that he 1000% knew that the 500k was for charity. He 1000% knew what they were doing. They probably thought that maybe, just maybe, they were going to be able to take the 500k, use it to pay some of their debts, raise funds, and then use the funds that they got from the, the new investors to pay off the debt that they had towards the charity. But they had no chance of doing it because they weren't able to get a single fund. They were not able to do it. He also said that our funding went directly to our creators when it didn't. This is obviously a message to try to make the things, a little bit less worse. But we all know that, this is fake. Or well, if it isn't fake, then that's much worse. Also, for when you finish reading this statement, let me read. Los Angeles criminal lawyer, California Penal Code Section 503 PC, embezzlement. Definition and elements of the crime. Embezzlement is a white-collar crime and theft offense that involves a person's unlawful taking of property that has been entrusted to them by someone else. While this offense is alternately referred to as employee theft, embezzlement under California Penal Code Section 503 PC can apply anytime there is unlawful taking of entrusted property. To prove that a defendant committed embezzlement, a prosecutor must be able to prove the following elements. An owner entrusted his or her property to the defendant. The owner did so because he or she trusted the defendant. The defendant fraudulently converted or used that property for his or her own benefit. And when the defendant did this, he or she intended to deprive the owner of the property's use. A person acts fraudulently when he or she takes undue advantage of another person or causes a loss to that person by breaching a duty, trust, or confidence. If the defendant is a public official who fraudulently takes property with which he or she was entrusted, that defendant can be charged with embezzlement by a public official under California Penal Code Section 504 PC, which is always a felony level offense. And then there is examples. Defenses to embezzlement. If a person has reasonable claim of right or good faith belief that he or she was entitled to take the property in question, which they weren't, they stole from a charity, that person would not be guilty of embezzlement. My dude, you're going to jail. Additionally, if the defendant did not intend to take the property from the owner, which they did, he or she would not be criminally liable under the statute. This would be the case if an employee took company property without permission to get it serviced, which is not what happened, because that employee did not intend to permanently deprive the company of the property. He did not commit embezzlement. Penalties. Depending on the amount embezzled or value of the property in question, the embezzlement is treated like either a petty theft or a grand theft offense. And I know this full well. Grand theft is $950 and up. If the embezzled amount was $950 or less, the defendant can be charged with a misdemeanor with a maximum sentence of 6 months in jail and court fines. If the amount exceeded $950, the offense is a wobbler that can either be charged as a misdemeanor or a felony with a maximum sentence of 3 years in prison. If the amount embezzled exceeds $65,000, an additional year in prison can be tacked on to any prison sentence. If the amount embezzled exceeds $3.2 million, another 4 years can be added to the defense sentence. Now, at this point, it's not a thing anymore of how much money was stolen from the charity. It's a thing of how much money was misappropriated and misused from the talent's incomes. Because as we know, Kaysen hasn't been paid in months, leading almost to a year. Michi hasn't been paid in months, leading almost to a year. K9 Kuro hasn't been paid in months, leading almost to a year, to the point where they only ever so recently got paid for the merch for their debut, which happened 2 years ago. K9 Kuro's debut was 2 years ago, and they only ever so recently got paid the money for that, which means there's a good chance that any other merch that has been released since then, where is it? Where's the money? Do you have the money? Give it now. Do you not? You're fucked. Let's be honest. Let's be completely fucking honest with ourselves. Ironmouse is a relatively large content creator. Relatively large. She's the biggest VTuber. She is the biggest one. And she averages 8,000 to 9,000 viewers, streaming 12 hours a day. She hasn't been perfectly consistent, yes, but there's been a lot of times in which she streams, as an example, here, 22 hours, because why not? 12 hours, 15 hours. Now, let's grab random average math for a random average month. For the people that don't know, Twitch ad revenue changes drastically based on the month of the year. Obviously, months like December will make a lot of money because it's really close to, festivities, but months like January and February drop like a fucking anvil into an ocean. But let's grab an average. It is on average 6 cents per viewer per hour if you're running only 3 minutes of ads. Now, let's do this. Let's go to statistics. She has streamed 10,000 hours. Okay, cool. Over these past few months, leading up to a year, she streamed 68 hours, 181, 224, 209, 211, 234, 227. Let's be kind and make this 1,500 hours. 1,500 for an average of how many viewers? 8,000. Let's be kind, because the month of June, she didn't have as many viewers as she had on other months. So, there is at least through ad revenue. At least $720,000 fucking dollars unaccounted for. At least 720,000. Now, let's grab the revenues of some other people, like for example, Zentreya, another streamer that is relatively large. And by relatively, I mean they average around 5,000 viewers. How many hours do they stream? 144, 651, 179, 181, 175, etc. You can make the math yourself at that point. And also keep in mind, this is only the ad revenue. We're not talking about merch money. We're not talking about subscription money. We're not talking about sponsorships. They're way past that. They are way... also flashbang, my bad. I should probably like darken this. They're way past 3.2 million. The problem is that the merch may not be included with embezzlement because the money was unentrusted with them. VShojo managed the entire ordeal and then failed to pay it, so there would be breach of contract, but bankruptcy is likely to be filed. 1000%, yes. But still, the rest of the money is embezzlement. Absolutely insane to say that I only learned later that this was for charity. Oh, 1000% this is a lie. This is 1,000,000 fucking percent a lie. I don't believe it like a second that the CEO of a company that was supposed to be talent first, that put so much effort, blood, sweat, and tears into a project and cared, according to him, about the talents. There's no way whatsoever that they found $515,000 fucking dollars and looked at it and said, you know what? This money? Yeah, it's probably for nothing. As if ironmouse's, charity stream and the whole subathon that she had wasn't one of the biggest events that they've ever fucking managed before in their life. I don't believe it for a second. I don't. They're going to jail. Or maybe they're not going just to jail, they're going to jail and then to prison. Big difference, but still. Also, this is a quote retweet. Let me see. What is this? Which I later learned was intended for a charitable initiative. How is it that you retweeting Ludwig on September 30th of 2024, a tweet that clearly states that ironmouse was donating half of her subathon revenue to charity? Is this you? Bitch, where is later? Oh, Gunrun reposted a tweet from Ludwig. ironmouse just blew past my old Twitch sub record and still has another day to break Kai's record. I've seen some weird people flame her on Twitter over the past couple of weeks, but I hope that she shatters the all-time sub record. She's a great streamer, has one of the best stories on Twitch, and is donating half the money raised to charity. There you have it. It's trying to save face until the end, indeed. 1000%. Now, would I be surprised if this was something, vetted by a lawyer? I'll be honest, yes. I'd be insanely surprised. Because so far, this entire situation has been handled like complete shit. And I believe that maybe, just maybe, this post was made kind of in a rush. Very much so in a rush. How does it get even worse? Let me see. Silvervale's experience in VShojo is just so sad. VShojo has been scummy for a long time. Not all VShojo staff are bad. I've heard that the staff is actually really good. And there are a lot of good people. There were many internal and technical issues along with a lot of incompetence. A lot of cool things were proposed. The biggest opportunity of her life. First few months were amazing. The original contract was extremely predatory, as been shown by Shalili. There wasn't even an exit clause. Before she left, VShojo owed her tens of thousands of dollars from sponsorships and other things, and a fuck ton of money. Also, for anyone that wonders why I say dollars like that, my bad, that's an accent thing. When she asked about the money, VShojo kept on saying that it was in the works and gave a fuck ton of excuses. She made more money the first few months with Mythic than during her entire time as VShojo, statement that's also been corroborated by people like Nyanners, also someone else that had left VShojo a long while ago. She had asked to renegotiate the contract, but VShojo refused and got upset that she had lawyers to review it. She was belittled and shamed to other talents for using a lawyer. She had warned other talents about payment issues, tried to warn as many people as she could. She said that VShojo had too much power and it was terrifying. She threatened to sue her for canceling a stream due to stress. Great! She went through emotional torment, was lied to, misled, pitted against others, told different things, and made to blame each other instead of the agency. VShojo had internal leaderboards to make talents compete with each other. That's great. We love when people do that. We love when it's not a thing of having fun and talents first anymore, but it's a thing of, if you make more money, we look at you in a kinder light, but if you make less money, then you're at the bottom of the barrel. Gold star to the people at the top, red card to the people that are at the bottom. We're flipping your green card to a red card if you're actually not doing all too well. To the people that remember that from elementary days, I am so sorry. She was considered a problem person for raising concerns, told not to discuss sponsorships with other talents. VShojo did everything to compartmentalize them and make the talents feel like they were nothing without the company. Yes, that's why they need 1000% to do this. No, not that's why they needed. They needed 1000% to do this, because if they didn't have the talents in the company, well, the company was gonna go down to begin with. Internal culture was toxic. You had to earn brownie points and hope for their support or adoration. She felt trapped. She didn't realize how bad it was or how not normal it was, because she genuinely wanted to do a good job and be liked by management. She had a call with Gunrun due to the wizard controversy. Oh shit. Told her that she was damaging the brand and a disappointment. He said that her being harassed was an inconvenience to other talents and told her not to talk to them. Optics were more important than her well-being. Yay, we love money. It shattered her trust and broke her. At the time she needed support the most, she was met with contempt. When a few of them left, VShojo discredited them, painted them as problematic troublemakers or greedy. They held Nyanners hostage, preventing her from leaving just to make the company look good. Talents were also asked to stop associating with those who left, like Vebe, Nyanners, Silvervale, etc. She was slandered to other companies, which ruined partnerships and dream collabs that she was excited about, because connections are such an important thing. Great. She felt sick every time VShojo was praised as an amazing company that everyone loves. And I'm guessing that she couldn't talk about it because of NDAs, etc, etc. So even then, talking about this, very curious that it's happening, but we'll see. She was in a very dark place, had dark thoughts, and even wanted to act on them. The agency made her feel worthless, like she didn't deserve anything, and convinced her that she was completely alone. The whole experience was a nightmare. She gave so much of her heart and mental energy to the agency, and in return, she was manipulated. Do you want something that hasn't been added here specifically, but has been said by someone like Nyanners, for example? At one point, during a sponsor stream, she was doxxed. And by doxxed, I mean swatted. I'm sorry. And we've already seen a lot of examples of streamers getting swatted and having permanent fucking damage because of it. Namely, XQC. You would see the guy very often in a depth stream back when they were still together, legitimately fucking wake up in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day after a nap and start screaming, "They're here, they're coming," and start to like barricade doors and everything. It's a horrible thing that can happen to anyone that streams. It's miserable. And guess what VShojo did to that? They didn't even pay her the money from the sponsored stream. I think that says everything to the kind of company that they are.